This is a moment of history. That is a moment of truth.
We had to protect the people who were kind of on the margins. And
the motherfucker who said we're going to keep this thing going until people start losing their houses and their apartments. Listen to me, mother.
A city in crisis, with two of LA's most powerful unions now joining forces on the picket lines. The economic repercussions could be seismic, and the question everyone is asking:
So we were talking off air for a second, and I was asked to hold off.
Oh yeah.
Hold off.
Oh, the writer's strike.
The writers' strike and the actors' strike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah. So I went to my daughters and I went, "Your generation is ruining TV for me," and here's why. They're like, "Why?
Why is it? Hang on. Why is it that we millennials have to blame everybody else?
Whoa! I'm Gen Y, brother. I'm Gen.
No, you're not.
Gen X.
No, you were not. What year were you born?
82.
Yeah, therefore millennial. Sorry,
It's
81
80
to 81.
Look it up.
I just did. It was 81. And
I've always thought that it was just 80 to 2000.
no.
I generalize. Okay?
They changed it. It is 81 now. Crap.
They changed. Listen to him.
Yeah,
they changed
it twice because now I'm a millennial too. We're all millennials.
Gen Y. It was Gen Y. They changed it.
Anyways.
Sorry, Chuck.
So my point still stands.
You're lumped in with us now.
Shut it.
Listen, I've been fighting against that label for the past decade.
Us millennials.
And keep on moving it further and further back, and it's just like
us millennials are blaming Gen Z for everything, and now this is just another thing that we're throwing on the block. This is crazy.
It's their fault. It's all their fault. Cancel culture. Baloney.
Well, it's just easier to blame them than it is.
Yes, it is.
So I'm talking to it. I'm like, do you know why this is happening? I was listening to a show, podcast, I forget who, and they were going into it, and they said a few different things, which I thought were very, very interesting. One, streaming. Streaming has killed TV as we know it today. In fact, streaming is so popular, and it saves us so much money that if you wanted to actually subscribe to every single streaming network, it would cost you 4 times what cable would cost you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid. We just go back to cable.
Never gonna happen.
Well, the difference,
Never gonna happen.
If you're paying for it like this by company, they don't have to worry about having the sponsors on there. Therefore, you can avoid commercials. So while I'm away, I generally will put TV on and I'll watch something. I'll try to watch half a movie and I lose my mind because of the amount of commercials that I'm no longer used to.
But with Comcast, the way it was though, you could go into the TV show like you do here,
which is on demand, which is streaming. Same thing.
Right, but you can still fast forward through the commercials.
Not all the time.
Hang on. No, there's some caveat here. I think through Comcast, if the show is more than a week or two old, yes, it'll allow you to fast forward through the commercials. If it's brand new, you're not fast forwarding through anything. Okay, so let's just throw that out there.
Well, it's like Hulu. Hulu, you have to watch commercials unless you want to pay twice the money for no commercials.
Right.
But what's happening is because that's happening, all of the production companies are actually losing money.
Oh, absolutely.
So what I heard was 2 things. One, the star notion of like being an actor back in the day, like being a star, is no longer a thing because you can just replace anything. You can replace anybody with anybody.
Of course. Because
there's no like celebrity status. Like it used to be.
I agree. I 100% agree with you. And the only thing that I want to add to that is, and I apologize that I don't remember the actor or actress's name, but there was a lot of talk going on around this whole strike thing where they want like B and C list background actors come in for a day, we shoot you, then we CG you throughout the rest of this thing, and we're only going to pay you for that one day.
Right, which is stupid.
It's ridiculous. Right. It's absolutely ridiculous.
It's like we know more actors from the 80s and 90s than we do today.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
Why? Because they were star status back then. No, It's like I heard the guy say, you know, you have Zendaya on Spider-Man. You could replace her with any other actress her age, and it would be the same. There would be really no.
I don't know about her.
If you compare her to like
She's
any
pretty
of the
high.
female
Well,
actresses-
for today's
If you compare
standards,
her
she's
to
pretty
any
high
of-
status.
for today's standard, yes. But if you put her back in the 80s and 90s with the Meg Ryans and the what's her name? Who
Julia Roberts.
Julia Roberts and Nicole Kidman and
Sure.
stuff like that back then, she doesn't hold a candle to them. They are so much bigger in name and everything compared to than her.
It comes down to talent and popularity. Why is somebody popular? They're popular because they're popular. Why is somebody else popular? They're popular because they're talented. So we've witnessed.
I blame the
many
Kardashians. I'm sorry. This started with reality TV. The Kardashians, Paris Hilton. Why were they popular? Why were they talented? Because they were popular.
knows. Yeah.
And then she was on House of Wax.
We were all hoping she'd be a wax figure, just like
In real
sooner
life.
rather than
She
later.
was
She
so
was.
bad in that movie. That was
Wasn't Timberlake in that?
Oh man, I remember when I saw
And then
that.
a bad
She
guy like
was-
Ozzy Osbourne or something.
But the other thing that this, so to get back on the whole actor strike and stuff like that,
Oh yeah, the season.
what they also said too is that instead of doing 22 to 24 episodes a year, like starting in September and ending in June, and doing it throughout the week, because if you remember correctly, when you watch those, like when it was Thanksgiving time, they had a Thanksgiving episode. When it was Christmas time, they had a Christmas episode. When it was New Year's, they had a New Year's episode. When it was this, they had an episode that would go with the season that we were in.
Right.
And the writers, like in Friends, the writers had to write an episode literally every single week.
Okay, can I?
And now they're just writing a big plot, and then they're done for 2
They
years.
shoot it all in one go, and then that's.
It's like Andor, not Andor. Is it? No.
Anything today.
Anything today. Anything today.
Anything today is one long movie broken up.
To
as
a
opposed
point-
to
Yes,
a-
Andor. Mummy's Boy is on Andor, right?
Mummy's Boy.
Yeah, Mama's Boy.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
was on Andor, right?
Yes.
We have to wait 2 years for season 2. 2
Yes.
years.
Yes. I have to
Why?
wait 2 years until I collect my $200.
Okay, you guys should go on strike.
No, I don't want to get on that. To a point, I agree with everything that you're saying. However, when you look at the old way of doing things and you have these elongated 24-episode seasons, a lot of them didn't last very long. They lasted about a season and then they were canceled. How many?
Seinfeld,
Hang on.
Friends,
Let me finish.
Smallville.
Let me finish.
Boy Meets
You're right.
World.
You're right. You're
Simpsons.
naming the shows that are few and far between. Go back to the mid to late 90s and tell me how many shows that came out through NBC or CBS or Fox that lasted one season and were gone the next. They are in they're in the dozens. That's number one. Number two, I can only think of like one or two actors that really benefited from that were paid ridiculously. Ted Danson and what's his? Oh my God, Rick from Walking Dead. Like those are the only two.
Well, that's what I was going to get to, Andrew Lincoln. But yeah,
Andrew
Walking
Lincoln.
Dead is a great example.
It is a
Walking Dead, the first
fantastic
season,
example.
Had a very short first season. We talked about this because of
Because it
writer's
was
strike
writer's
before.
strike, right?
But then they extended their seasons and they did go longer. They weren't for a whole year. They did half.
Right.
But it still went very long. AMC did a really good job at being broadcast television, or cable television, but making TV shows that had the draw that the streaming, the
Right.
apps and everything do now. And I think what made them good was like you would wait the week and you'd be excited to see the next episode, and it would go for like 16 episodes or whatever.
Right, not 6.
Yeah, not 6. It would go for that. And it's like, okay, we're taking like a 2-month break and then you're going to get the rest of it. Like, wow, that's awesome. That kept people watching. That kept
Doctor
people
Who
waiting.
did that.
That kept people watching like the after shows, like Talking Dead and stuff like that. So I had my ritual when I'd watch Walking Dead, Talking Dead, and then Comic Book Men. Like that was my thing, and it was great. I really enjoyed that.
It was a great.
you don't
It was a
have
great
them anymore.
Sunday night. It was a great
But
Sunday.
we had TGI Friday, TGIF,
TGIF.
which we'd look for 2 hours of TV every Friday night. Every Saturday morning we had cartoons.
Yep.
You know, we don't have that anymore.
Nope.
And to do this, Friends, I know you don't have a big thing about that. The last season of Friends, season 10, they all renegotiated for $1 million an episode.
Yeah.
All 6 of them. $1,024 million.
Mm-hmm.
They were all 26 years old, and in 1 year they made 24 million with an M dollars. And now
Ted Danson was getting what, $6 million an episode for Cheers? He was getting a ridiculous number. He was getting a ridiculous number.
Let's look at.
So was
Hold on. Let's go back to 89. You had Full House, which went 8 seasons. Then you have Fuller House, which went half the episodes, only 5 seasons. So all 5 seasons times what? 12 episodes. So you have 5 times 60 episodes. All 5 seasons was the length of 3 of their seasons.
Right.
And of the original Full House. Full House went 8 years. Boy Meets World went 7 to 8 years. Friends went 10 years. Seinfeld went what? 9?
9.
10? 9?
I think 9.
Smallville went 10. You have all these big things. And shows today on streaming, they're not going 8, 9, 10 seasons. They're going 3. It's 4.
It's not feasible to do something like that ever again. I don't think it is. I don't think it's remotely feasible to ever do a television show like that again because, and I'm gonna say it, fluff. Nobody wants to sit through fluff anymore. Nobody wants to sit through the dud of an episode. Nobody wants to sit through filler. You mentioned we were talking about Walking Dead, and that's a prime example. More filler than decent episodes. I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
After season 7, yes.
Before that. I would say after season 3.
Yeah. After the prison.
I would even argue during the 3rd season that's when it started. There was a lot.
But then at that point though is when you hit that stride of okay, season 3 we have episode, maybe we go 4 or 5, then we kill it. Fine. But then you still have 24 episodes of 5 seasons of it, and what it does is it spans the year. I looked forward to every week. I mean, I was a huge fan of Lois and Clark for 4 years. It was a 4-year season. It was 4 seasons. I was a huge fan of Lois and Clark when it came out. I'm obviously a Superman fan. Dean Cain is one of my faves.
He's got brown eyes.
I don't care.
He's got brown eyes.
Eyes are a big deal, man.
Hey. Rhodey is a Skrull, so whatever.
Yeah.
We'll get there. We are talking about the writer's strike. We will get to Rhodey being a Skrull.
So
I can't even say it with a straight face.
I know. What I would look forward to is next week on. And you would get a little preview of what was coming up next week, and then you would get the week before you get previously on. And you wouldn't get previously on from a movie that you saw 5 years ago that's somewhat pertaining to a show that you're watching today. No, it's so ridiculous. And it makes a point. Yeah, is it easier to go through, like they're still doing it week by week and doing 6 to 10 weeks of this? Is it easier? Yes.
I don't think it is. I don't think this is easier.
Well,
I don't think the current way that they are doing television on these streaming platforms, I don't think it's easier because these are much more intelligent and concise and short and it's so much better. It's so much better. They're much more concise in what they're doing than opposed to a television show that was on 15 years ago.
True, but what's going to happen though is that's going to go away because all the good writers, what this guy said was when you have stuff like Marvel, where you have the good writers do the TV shows, and you have these B writers that are like, let's just ride the coattails of Marvel, of the MCU movies, and let's do these TV shows. They're not using the writers who wrote the movies for the TV shows. They're using B writers, and they're doing that just to get them out there. And what's going to happen is, this is going to be good for a while, But because people aren't getting paid for the year, because these things aren't lasting as long, you're going to get B, C writers and B and C actors, and it's going to start going downhill because all the good ones are going to stop because they're not getting paid what they're worth. And it's going to go away. The reason why that lasted 2, 3, 4 decades is because people were getting paid good money because it took more talent to actually write something every single week, produce it and show it the same week than them filming this 2 years ago, producing it for a year and showing it now. It took way more skill and talent than it does now. And it was actually real life in front of real people, not in front of a green screen.
I disagree with that a lot.
2 steps back.
Dude, you be honest with that one. They were not filmed in front of live audiences. This was canned laughter, canned applause. Come on.
But stuff like Full House, stuff like Home Improvement, Boy Meets World.
You're bringing up sitcoms, though.
That's what I'm talking about. All the basics
I understand that, but we don't. But the stuff we watch on streaming right now is not sitcoms.
You have to realize that every generation television evolves. I mean, with the sitcoms that you're talking about, far cry away from the '50s when Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz were dominating television. Things have to change. If you want to make a comparison
to things back in the '90s and early 2000s, Buffy, Smallville, sure, I got that. Sopranos is what kind of changed the seriousness of what could be a television show.
Okay,
and then we start getting stuff like Walking Dead and Breaking Bad.
Angel, Charmed. Those guys lasted years.
Yes.
For 24 they lasted years. Now you're getting 6 episodes and you're waiting 3 for the next hopefully for the next season.
Yeah.
And then you get junk half the time.
I would much prefer a more streamlined season of television that is shortened, that is concise, that is intelligent, and that makes sense, as opposed to yesteryear where it was here's one episode pertaining to this one plot, and then we are going to completely forget about it in the next episode, and we're just going to move on and on and on from there.
They do that though. They do that.
Not today.
Yes, they do. You could take 9 you could take the 12 episodes of Andor and break it up into 4 episodes each and make a trilogy.
That would be horrible.
Call it a movie.
That would be terrible. That would be a terrible idea. There's not enough there. There's not enough there. Now you're talking about, hey, we're going to need a whole lot of filler. So you're going to get like one episode where whoever goes off and does whatever. It was our big problem with it was our big problem with like Boba Fett in the final season of The Mandalorian. Here's a side quest, here's a side mission that has nothing to do with the story at all. That's kind of what you're advocating for here. If you want longer seasons, that's what you're going to get. I don't want that. I don't want to go back to those days personally.
Well, then they got to find a way. Then they need to find a way to keep the good writers and the good actors to keep doing that, because it's going to go away if they don't.
I agree. 100% I agree. They will be paid. I have no doubt in my mind that they will be paid. If this strike is going to go on long enough, watch. When television ratings and streaming services and subscriptions and then the revenue starts to dip because there's no new content, uh-oh. Well, that's gonna be. It hasn't been. No. I mean, a real dip. No new content dip. Why am I paying for this if nothing new is coming out? Dip. That's what it's gonna come down to.
Well, that's the thing though, is when people started doing streaming like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus, they weren't doing it for new content. They were doing it to have a library of all the old stuff and to have like, when a movie came out, they could watch the movie. Originally, it wasn't meant for, let's watch a new Netflix was the killer of it all. Let's take a season. Let's give you the entire season at once. That's stupid.
House of Cards.
House of Cards.
Yeah, that was Cobra like the first one.
I watched an entire season of Cobra Kai in 5 hours.
Yeah.
One night.
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking for? At least HBO Max, not HBO Max, but Max and Disney Plus, they're doing the smart thing and releasing an episode every week.
Agreed. I agree with you.
Max just released a new TV show. It's a cartoon But it's called My Adventures of Superman. It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
I
Superman
saw
and Lois as interns at the Daily Planet. It's fantastic.
I saw the previews
It's
for it. It looks
amazing.
pretty cool. No, and here I agree with you 100%. I think releasing an entire season in one go and people killing it inside of a weekend is stupid. I think that's ridiculous. That's not sustainable at all. I agree with you.
Right, but it's like, and I just missed the. What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, so do I.
What do you like when the like?
Letting the episode marinate for like a week before you actually like get the next. Yes, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah.
I think that's stupid. I think that's really stupid. I think that killed things a lot more than the goodbye days of 24 episode seasons is when Netflix decided to. I think House of Cards and Orange is the New Black were like the first two television shows to do that. Here's the entire season. Enjoy. And it's like it's
Right.
consumed in one weekend and then completely forgotten by the third. And it's not I don't think it was healthy then.
Well-
I enjoyed it, so I can't really speak out against it like I was part of the problem because I was consuming
Right.
television like that for a while. But I agree with you. It was a
Another thing,
mistake.
too-
It was
Right.
a giant
Another
mistake.
thing too is taking it off of the TV, off of cable. I mean, here's who did it right. Breaking Bad did it right. They had 12 to 13 episodes a season. They were great with that. But putting it on cable, what sustained them was the commercials, was the ads. These companies were paying AMC to show their ads on the show because everybody was watching it, and that allowed them to pay the writers and the actors to actually be on the show.
Let's go back to what TV shows used to be.
I want to make
all
one
right?
more point. Then I'm gonna let you go, Lee. I apologize. Just when you do like the behind the scenes and the research into Breaking Bad, they were paying Super Bowl prices for commercial ads for that finale.
Mm-hmm.
That right
Yeah.
there should tell you a lot. It was
It's-
insane. And
I
if
think
you were
it's just
actually
generation's
there,
favorite of ads.
if you were actually like there watching the finale when it happened, I was. Those commercials
Right.
were high quality. I remember that. Like, oh my god, this is a high production commercial. They're really trying to. How much did they pay for this? And you find out like Super Bowl prices for a
That's
finale of
ridiculous.
television. Like it was insane. I'm sorry. I apologize, Lee. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I agree with you. My only thing I want to bring up about it is if you think about what TV shows and everything used to be. So let's go back to early broadcast television, and when they would have shows like Lucy and I Love Lucy, Lucy and Desi, all that stuff. They would have product placement in their episodes. They would have shows that were like this week's episode sponsored by.
Right.
This is how radio shows were. So even
Yeah.
before broadcast
Like the
television,
Truman Show.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. But that's the thing is like we got so far away from doing that and making the product placement so obvious. I always think Wayne's World. Yes, and it's the choice of a new generation. Like all those scenes in there, it's spoofing on how everything has to have sponsors because that's how things are made.
Walking Dead was the best at it. It's like
Oh.
we're in the apocalypse. Here's the brand new Audi.
It's got some dust on it.
It was the Hyundai.
It's
That
a little
too.
dusty, but look,
That too.
look, no dents. Okay.
Who did it right though? Was Michael Bay in Transformers when when she pulls out
Shameless.
the SD card and she flashes it and it says Samsung across it.
Yeah, of course.
Ab-
Or you see the
Absolutely
Mountain
shameless.
Dew, or you see it was all over the place.
Right.
But we're not doing that today though.
Not to that degree.
Not that. No.
Because too many people are going up product placement.
Who
So now,
cares?
well, the thing is,
Dylan
that-
Mulvaney,
but listen, oh jeez,
Bud Light.
I looked in the fridge here at work, and there's a case of beers, and they all have blue cans, and somebody put 3 Bud Lights in the front of it, so nobody would drink it. It's not Bud Light, but the same color blue.
So no one's
So
drinking.
nobody's drinking it. That's how they've been
Do you
hiding
know
their
they
beers.
went from number 1 to they're number 14.
Oh, I
They're
know.
14
Have you seen
now.
how small their trucks are now for delivery?
What a fall. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, all I'm saying is we've gone so much away from what broadcasting was before.
Right.
That now it's like, how do we do this and still make money? Well, hey, we'll just have people pay subscriptions, and then we'll pay. Wait, who? Oh no, wait. They lost what started this whole thing in the first place, which is having companies sponsor them in order to exist, and then having their sponsors recognized. So that's where we're running into the issue. That's why there's no money coming in where it needs to come in. That's why people are striking. It's just we've gone so far away from what provided the funds in the first place.
Right.
So that's what I'm going to say.
That's why I think Hulu does it right.
Yeah, because they still have ads.
They still have ads.
But because we're so pampered and so used to not having ads, everybody hates Hulu.
I watch it.
Yeah.
It's like $6 a month for ads or 15 without. I'm like, I'll pay the $6 a month. I don't care.
Well, the 15 is like, oh, well, let's just pay these sponsors that would have had their ads on, and so these people don't have to watch them. Okay, that makes sense. Bump up the price.
Right.
But right now, it's just I don't know. They've lost it.
I think eventually we're going to get to a point where there's kind of a happy medium. There has to be like an in between both worlds. That there has.
That's true. Hulu has that happy medium. If you don't, if you want to pay for it, you can pay for it, and they're still making a little bit extra money. And if you don't, you still have these companies paying in to show their ads, so they're still getting money on both sides. Hulu does it right. I think if everyone did that, or go back to cable and just get rid of all these, because now Disney's
never
like,
gonna happen.
Well, Disney's like, you want Disney, Hulu, and ESPN? Here you go. You
Bundle
can
package.
So really, it's gonna be Disney's gonna own HBO Max, Hulu, Paramount, all these things. They're gonna go, oh, for $60 a month, you can have. Oh, that's called cable.
And then Elon Musk is gonna buy Disney.
That'd be awesome.
And then here we go.